Okay. There's about 6 ways to start a presentation. One of the most common ones, you come in and you actually start with a fact, which is, in 2 seconds, the Earth receives enough sunlight to be able to power every single source that humans use in the entire year. We utilize 0.5% of it. The second way is what I just started with, which is a hello, hi, can you hear me? People at the end, what have you. The third is to ask questions. The fourth is to try and analyze the audience. I'm going to start with that. To start things off, I want to have an idea of who I'm dealing with. I know 3 people here I just met for us, so I have an idea. Raise your hands if you have anything to do with AI. I know you're here. Great. Raise your hands if you have anything to do with the people who build customer experiences. Okay, good audience, nice. And then, more than that, give me an idea if you are below 30. Great. That's a start, and now I take the second technique. Whether you think you can, or whether you think you can't, you're right. You're exposed to about 3,500 ads every single day, starting from the backside of your phone, and that's typically what 90% of individuals start their day with. And down to going down to your office, billboards, your phones, what have you. If you're exposed to information, there's an abundance of it. And what happens with abundance of information? Abundance of information causes poverty of attention, which means we can no longer focus. Add some more facts to it. The human mind can no longer focus more than 8 and below 40 seconds. That average is 1 second less than a goldfish, with no offense to goldfish. You're dealing with people that have these conundrums. 40% of the time, if you're reading a book, you are not actually focusing on the book. Malcolm Gladwell's definition of an expert is a person who spends 10,000 hours doing something. The issue is you did spend those 10,000 hours, but you were focused on something else for the majority of the time. And that is the conundrum that companies face. And as consumers, we have our own perspectives. So how do you make people happy? That's what most people believe companies want to do. How do you engage them? How do you get them to interact? How do you get their preferences? I've designed somewhat 20 minutes of a journey which tries to see both ends. This is a perspective of how do you deal with the companies that you deal with, and at the same time, the people who create these experiences. To start things off, as a consumer, what do you look for? What is it that you're interested in? Essentially, I want companies to understand me. Why? Because I'm empowered with information. I want to be able to relate to the companies that I deal with. My bank, I bank in Dubai, has an automatic opt-in of sending me text messages, which is not interested to me at all. And then they speak a language that I don't understand. I mean, in the US specifically, you would know 0.05% APR and then 5% ARR, AMM. What are you talking about? I have no idea. I can't relate to it. And yet to them, it makes a lot of sense. I'll start with the basics of customer experience just to get some kind of a ground level started. My clicker's not working, so I'm just pretending to know what I'm talking about. So someone can fix that, that'll be great. Nope, I'm just rotating between it, which is some of the worst things that you face as a person, and that's fine. So think, as a consumer, how do you interact with brands? What is your typical journey? My own personal experience, the one that I continue to remember, is with Amazon. 4 clicks, 1 hour, I had the item that I wanted. 4 clicks. Obviously, they knew what I wanted. Obviously, they had enough of an information idea. Oopsie-doo. What am I pressing? Oh. Am I pressing it wrong? There's one button. Okay. Yeah, that's a rookie mistake because I'm not able to deal with that. And either way, I am able to deal with information. The first time I came to a podium, I also got an audience. The difference was the audience actually came right before lunch. It's my first time speaking. 600 people, finance industry. And I have my presentation all set. I am all pumped up. There's a mistake? Oh, yeah, that's it. Brilliant. They need to be on the same page. I show up, half the people leave. Why? Because I'd been placed like that. My second experience, people came after lunch. Everybody was sleepy. Nobody could relate to it because it was too long a day. There's too many expectations. There's too much knowledge already. And again, the abundance of knowledge, creating poverty of attention. 3 points. 3 points that you need to understand as consumers, and these are the fundamentals of customer experience, and I've tried to simplify them so it makes sense to the most people. Start with, talk to me like a human. I'm a human being. Business works with people. Oracle coined the term B2Me, not B2B, not B2C, B2Me. Facebook can personalize the ads based on my interests. They've been looking at what I do. Gmail looks at my emails and they're able to customize it. Unroll.me knows what emails I don't want to get and can actually just unsubscribe them in one space. Understand me better. Artificial intelligence enables you to be able to do that. So as a consumer, I should be shown the ads based on my interests. I'll come down to some examples that talk more about it. Know me better forever. If I've interacted with you, you can have the journey map. You know what touch point I wanted. I was speaking to one of the professors yesterday, and he said robots have this capability to constantly smile at you, and no human can beat that. And my argument was, if I need a problem solved, I don't care about that smile. All I want to do is be expeditious. I want to go and get my problem solved. Smiling robot or not is not my problem. You want to be able to provide what you need. And that's what you can ask for too. And get to know me better than I would want to tell you. The story of the iPhone, somebody came up with a disruption. People thought, you have quotes from Microsoft saying this is something that's never going to work. And then you have competition like Kareem came right across Uber and came up with the exact same thing, but they knew the region better. They were able to personalize cars for women. They were able to add a simple car seat for babies. Simple differences that changes everything. So with these 3, if you think about it, you've kind of covered what the fundamentals of customer experience are. As people that experience it on a daily, ongoing basis. Am I doing it wrong again? All right, brilliant. And that's where I enter the age of where we are going. There's systems that are talking to each other. There's information silos, and then there's information transmission. So as human beings, we're dealing with all these devices, we're dealing with all these machines, and they need to be able to understand and relate with us better. There's different steps involved. And where do you place customer experience then? What is customer experience? It is in the middle of all of every single touch point between you and the relationship that you have with a company. Regardless of the definition that you think would typically work, this is what is the center of all of it. Think of the experience that you have when you go to an airport, because I work with one, Dubai Airports, if you've heard of it, the world's busiest as of now. The most successful airport in the planet right now, the most awarded planet is the Changi Airport in Singapore. Who is the most terrifying person that you find at the airport? Security? One more. The scariest person. Immigration. That's typically the one. I have that kind of passport. I know what you're talking about. What they did, just to calm it down, and this is thinking from a CX perspective, was add candy to the equation. Literally, candies. So you go to this immigration guy, usually tough looking, or lady again, tough looking, and they're very stern, checking you out. And they're like, may I have your passport? You give the passport, and they're like, candy? Can you say candy in a way that does not look fun and interesting and nice? No, you can't. That simple addition of sweets at every counter changed the customer experience that every person had that traveled to Changi Airport. That was just the base of it. Ron Kaufman is one of the coaches that works with them to do it. I work with Dubai Airports. So I was like, that sounds simple. All we do is buy a lot of candy and just put it there. So guess what we did? We put the candy. The problem? Nobody was able to actually see any difference in the customer experience. Why? Because the immigration officers never offered it. The candy just sat there. See the problem? We knew the process. We had an example, and that's what most companies do. They look at the best customer experience that some other company is providing, pick it up, apply it, and fail at it. See the issue? It could be as simple as that. So how do you transform things like this? I'm going to simplify it by saying, think Bruce Lee x Einstein x Pepper, which is a SoftBank robot. Why do I say Bruce Lee? You need to be agile. You need to be fast. You need to be able to understand. You need to understand the voice of the customer. You have to be expeditious. You have to expect and understand and relate and test and fail and learn and do it all over again. And all this personalization needs to have through actual data. You have the data. Unfortunately, as of now, most companies are utilizing 0.5% of it. In Jordan itself, through a report that was done by IBM, through IBX specifically, and through Microsoft, $60 million have been invested in Jordan itself in artificial intelligence to be able to get and understand their customers better. Only 5% of all implementations in artificial intelligence have actually shown any kind of ROI that makes sense. Consider those numbers for a second. And if you go to an executive, what kind of a buy-in will you have? You see what you're up against. They ask for examples. I've interacted with some companies here, and they have the exact same problem. The Arab Potash Company, Hashemite University, University of Jordan, are some of the examples who want to try and do something about it. With all the elements clear, with all the examples and things actually happening right now, unfortunately, it's still vague. So where do you go from there? You take a step back and you figure out what is the journey. I'm going to say something that is extremely common in speaking engagements. You have to start with Simon Sinek's why. That's what Toyota does. Ask 5 whys. I've interacted with companies that just want to go into AI because they want to get into it. I've interacted with people that want to have all the buzzwords, the IoTX, the blockchain, and this and that, and they have no idea why they're getting into it. So in most such cases, we just go to them and we ask them why. I've been dealing with customer experience for the last 12 years. I am currently a consultant at Dubai Chamber, Dubai Airports, Dubai Tourism, Dubai Healthcare. And usually the initiatives that they want are not well thought out of. It's something that they just want to do because it looks nice. It's something that will get them the next award, but it does not consider the customer. And considering the customer has to be the core of what you do. Because the economy is bad, and that's when you care about customer experience. Nobody cares about it when the economy is good. If business is flourishing, it does not matter. Unfortunately, it's not, which is why the customer is now empowered to make decisions that matter. And that's why you need to be able to focus on it. So in this is what we see. If I just say some terms on customer experience, NPS, ATR, and then EFS are 3 of the terms that you look at. Net Promoter Score, the attribution values, and how are people feeling? How do you take someone that is completely new or anonymous to you and you make them an advocate? The journey between one person interacting with your company that you don't know anything about and until they become someone that actively promotes your company is what customer experience needs to be able to calculate. But unfortunately, you're not able to do that until now. Microsoft and Honeywell have been inventing a technology which is now live. I've experienced it. It's the only time someone was able to accurately find out what my age was. What do you think my age is? Say it louder. Under 30. Anyone else? 35. 40? 42. I'm 31. I came across a camera which picked up what my intent was. Was I lying? Was I not lying when I spoke? What was I feeling like? And it didn't just pick me up. It picked up every single person in the audience. The first thing I came and I did here was I didn't ask you where you're from. It could also pick where you're from based on your facial features because it's coming in from some kind of diagnostics that can be run. It's called the audience pertinent analysis. Imagine the speaker here has to just look at your faces and figure out how you're feeling. And right now, you can just go into Mark Zuckerberg's appearing in front of Congress and figure out when does he get tense? When does he get stressed? What is he thinking? Is he lying? Is he not saying it? Or what have you? And that technology enables you to understand what you want. KFC in China can now place your orders without you saying a word. You show up, they know what you want. It just looks at your face and it knows the order. Amazon is coming up with a technique. You already know about Amazon Go. Do you know about the dash buttons that Amazon came up with? Dash buttons? All right, I'll explain it. So Amazon obviously has your profiles. They know what you order. They've come up with more of a subscription model, and then they tied up with some brands like, for example, Tide, which is a washing powder. So they know exactly how and at what terms do you order the washing powder. So they came up with these buttons that you could click on, order gets placed. Now they already know what you want, so they just ship it to you. It's simple predictive analysis. And if you don't like it, return it. You can predict what people want now based on their interests. And then there's subliminal messaging. Then there's your Facebook profiles. Then there's the brands that you're interacting with, what you're happy with, what you're not happy with. And all that information allows you to be able to work with data. And this data can give you insights that can drive and give you the direction. Ru'ya, as it's called in Arabic. You can have a vision that explains where you're headed. The unfortunate problem is most companies believe they're providing a great experience, 80% of them, and only 5% of people actually relate to it. Most people believe it's not so. So where does that leave you? I'll give you the examples of Etihad, for example. Most of you may have heard of it, started in 2003, owned by the Emir. And they have about, I believe, 120 aircraft. They're implementing artificial intelligence at the grassroots level. They've set up an AI academy to teach everyone and give them an understanding of what artificial intelligence actually is. What can it do? And with real-life examples implemented in the front line, they're actually basing results on it. Credito Valtinese is a bank in Italy. There's a reason why I gave you the example of my bank. They've come up with the exact same issue. It's a retail bank. You deal with customers, you give them some offers, the offers make sense or they don't make sense. A lot of unstructured data, different silos, and then departments not talking to each other. What they ended up doing was implement artificial intelligence to create customer personas. So instead of just giving you information that might be applicable to you or not, they were able to very specifically pinpoint at what point in your life you were and what would you need, and then give you the exact same kind of marketing campaign tailored to you. 10% more conversion rates as opposed to any other marketing campaign they've ever done. And I believe the last example is Amazon Go, which most of you know. It's essentially frictionless shopping. You go into a store, you get out. They're using sensors, IoT, and artificial intelligence to figure it out. It just pops up in your bank. So to wrap things up, you need to figure out your purpose. You need to figure out your why. You need to figure out what are you doing and where are you headed. As a company, you need to understand what people are doing, and you would have enough data to base your decisions on it. The information is there. The tools are there. You need just to be able to figure out the tools you want to extract, create the ecosystem that allows for these interactions to work, and make most sense of it. Unfortunately, the biggest problem that people now come up with is the executive buy-in. And you have to then go up the ladder, you have questions, and you need to prove yourself or what have you, but the internet allows you to be able to just source information, inspiration, data from anywhere. These are the most common problems that 1,200 executives stated that they're facing in companies within the Middle East. Most of these problems apply everywhere, and yet, within every challenge lies opportunity. All you need to figure out is, what are you trying to automate? How are you going to do it? The right ecosystem that you need to be able to accomplish your targets, a lot of testing, and you go from there. So in essence, if you think about customer experience, you either experience it as a person or your company provides it. It is up to you to design it. What do you use to design it? How do you go about it? It's completely up to you. As consumers, we're more powered than we ever were. Through your smartphone, you can basically learn anything that you wanted. And you could ask for more, the companies could predict more and provide you more, which brings in efficiency, it brings in cost reductions, and at the same time, it gets you more things of your interest. So in essence, artificial intelligence is, again, augmenting most of the processes that you deal with and allowing you to have a lot more power. That's artificial intelligence and customer experience from my perspective. My name is Hamza Nasir. I'm from Live Admins, and I'm opening this board for questions. Does anyone have questions? Is there a question? Yeah, that's all my details, by the way. All of them. Kullu tamam.
Hello, Hamza.
Hi.
Thank you for the brief. I'm Osama Al-Hawamdi, a CX expert. I would like to ask a question regarding the customer journey mapping you mentioned. Can you elaborate more how AI would help us in designing or improving the customer journey?
Absolutely.
Design, yes.
That's it? Okay. So the customer journey essentially is every single touch point that people are coming down to and how they're interacting with it. Artificial intelligence has to be understood like a brain. And all of these touch points are data funnels that are giving you more and more data input. So if you think about how the process of getting data works, you have to first of all start with acquiring data, then you have to measure it, then you have to clean it. And once you've done that, you need to be able to analyze it, figure out the right data points, and understand them. Essentially in a journey, what you want to be able to understand, simple example, by a 1-second experience on a mobile website, on a Google PageRank, you lose 20% of your visitors. That tells you something. You would know how people go into supermarkets, which aisles do they go to, and at what point will they buy gum. That's why you find gum always at the counter. There's science behind it. Artificial intelligence helps you to just figure out the right touch points, allow you to make the right decisions, essentially, by figuring out where's more data coming in from, what are people reacting to, and what do you need to do to make it more frictionless for them. Because as time goes by, some people will want to see you in retail. Some people will want to get emails. Some people will want SMS. Some people will want to speak to somebody on the phone. The journey mapping will be enabled by AI because it'll help you make better decisions and make it frictionless, seamless, and essentially be on all platforms for the customer, essentially. It's customer centricity in the end. AI enables you to give insights out of unstructured data to make more sense of it. Did that answer your question? Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Shahad Saadi. I'm an industrial engineering student at the University of Jordan.
Okay.
You've mentioned how an organization can have all the elements regarding AI, but still can't implement it, let's say, well, or in a good direction, positive direction. For example, if an organization has the internal IT capabilities, has the human resources, also the budget, but still can't implement AI to get positive results and optimize its performance. Is this related to the behavior of the humans towards AI, or what could be the reasons behind that?
So that's when you pay a consultant like me and I fix your problems?
Okay.
No, it could be a variety of factors. So obviously, a lot of humans, they believe there's a catastrophic element of AI that will just take you down and you will lose jobs. 100 years ago, 98% of all people were in farming. And right now, only 2% are. Do you think there's less vegetables in the market? No, things have optimized. 95% of most people use online banking now. Do you think people have lost jobs in banks? No. So there's upskilling and reskilling, and again, there needs to be awareness. That's why I gave the Etihad example. You have to start at the grassroots level and get people to understand. This allows you to be more creative. This allows you to take more time out and be more productive finding value. It's all value-driven. You need to be able to understand that, and which is why we always propose, and I'm not proposing myself because I don't do that for a living, but you need to bring in some kind of a consultant who's not tied to your legacy environment, and they can give you the perspective from outside, figure out what your issues are. Obviously, there's a friction point. It could be the people, it could be the lack of sensors, it could be not having the right equipment, or you might already have it, you just don't know how to use it. You can have the best phone in the world, but if you don't know how to pick it up, I had the clicker, I don't know how to use it, 2 buttons, by the way. I had to get an expert to fix it for me. It's okay to ask for help. And once you ask for help, obviously, they'll solve it for you. And this requires a lot of testing, failing, but you need to be agile enough to just make some changes and do it all over again. Like I said, only 5% of all implementations have provided some kind of ROI or measurable, tangible results. But it's the direction you need to head into now to be able to be available in the next 100 years to still be successful as a business. So collaborate, ask for help. Anyone else?
Sorry, but
Okay, so later then. Thank you.